welcome to a quick demonstration on PICkit Plus. So PICkit Plus is a alternative programming software for the PICkit 2 and PICkit 3. I've got a little bit to show you today. It's quite simple, he says. I'm just looking for the software to start it up. Here we go. I'm going to be using a PICkit 2, could use a PICkit 3, you can use either of them, doesn't really matter which program you use. And PICkit 2 is replacement software for the user interface for these programmers. So I'm just powering it up. I selected a programmer, got a couple of programmers. It's not an illegal license because I'm a developer. Okay, so I'm using a 2542. I'm going to show you HEF and SAF. What are these things? Let's have a look at the browser first and try and figure out what it is. If I look at my data sheet, I can see in my data sheet I've got something that's called storage area flash. So it's an area that in memory that can be used for data storage. You can protect this, so you can enable it. And then if you enable it, the code that's placed in that area cannot be executed by the CPU, and the SAF block is placed at the end of memory and spans 128 words, and then you can write protect it. But the thing is how do you program this and manage this? If we look at it from another part, we've got a 16F, and it has something that's called HEF, and HEF is not even really well documented. It just says it's high endurance flash, and it's at the low end of each address in the range between here and here. You don't really know much about it, but it's similar to EEPROM. So I'm going to use I've got both hooked up. Basically, if I don't have I have this extra piece of dialogue, as you can see, that's appeared. If I change the part to a more traditional part, we can do that here very quickly. A traditional part, connect to the same part. We've only got the EEPROM. You can see that I lose the dialogue at the bottom. And these are the new parts. So what I mean by new is these are the ones that are not supported by the old PICkit software, hence PICkit Plus. So I'm just going to bring it up, and I can manage different ranges. I don't have to have it all allocated to SAF or HEF. I can take 32 bits, 32 words if it's this part, and it sort of highlights for me the area that it's going to be managing for me. It says it's managed. I've got a little. We can have it automatically managed, or not. We can auto manage it, and if I try to erase the part, it will automatically restore any HEF or SAF depending what you've got, which parts you're running with. So it's just trying to do and it says there's something in the part inside of the SAF area. Okay, so it knows it's an SAF part, so I can read it in, and we can see that we've got some data sitting in those bytes that I've marked up in particular. And here we have some bytes, so we get a bit of a random. I've just been putting them in like this. And now if I erase the part, I can erase it, I can write to it, and it will manage it automatically. So if I write that back, it will then write back, it will restore what's in the device back to memory. So what I've just typed in will be overwritten, because it's going to take what's in the part and it's going to merge it with my program. So if I show you a little trick to try and explain this, if I find the part and go see, I found the part, the memory is empty in the buffer here. If I write out the empty part that's in memory, it will go and get the SAF or HEF, depending on what it is, and it will put it into memory for me, because it's managing it, it's auto merging the two, so that you can then export that. You can do what you like with it. You can change the size of the protected area. You can just choose it. You don't have to have it all. Obviously, it depends what you're doing inside your user program. If your user program is using quite a lot, then so be it. Now, because I've got I've got another part hooked up here. It's on a different programmer, and it's a 16F1459, and I've got a program that I've got running here. Here's a program, and all it's going to do is going to dump out what's in the HEF memory for me. And if I have a terminal connected to it, which is quite handy because I can see what's going on. In my program, in my HEF area, I've got nothing, and the program on the right hand side, that's just been brought up, will dump the memory for us, and we can see it. So it got these memories here, this part here, from the part. It retained the HEF. If I had not had this enabled, it would have wiped that out, and I would have lost my HEF. So the program in the microcontroller is reading the HEF and putting it in the terminal. But as you can see, when I loaded that program, that part of the RAM is empty, and if I write it out, because it's set to auto merge, it's not asking me any questions. You can have it ask you lots of questions. I've assumed, in this case, that it's just doing a auto merge, and it's now putting it down. Now, if I want to change a value, I'll put this one to 3333. I'm just going to turn that off. Turn it off because, oh no, I can do it a different way. I can disable auto merge. I can write it out. Now we know that was a 1 before. I've just changed it to a 3, and it's going to say there's a mismatch between the two. I can use the data, the source. I can cancel it, or I can tell the program to use my new in-memory stuff, and it will then program it. And here we have a new memory in SAF, in the HEF for this particular part, and it's pretty simple to use. You just select it, pick how much you want to protect, and then you write your assembler and your program. Now, in your program, you need to protect this area, so you don't want to have a program that comes up to 100% because you would lose it then, or your program would fail. So you do need to have a method in your program to protect the top end of the memory, the top 128 bytes. Let me just see that's right. It's 128 bytes, yeah. So if your program encroached into here, yeah, you would have a problem, but that's not a problem of what I'm showing you today. So that was a quick introduction to into PICkit Plus, and I will get that sorted somehow. There we go. That's a quick introduction to PICkit Plus and HEF SAF support.